Emma Hartford had built an empire from the ground floor up. As the CEO of a tech startup that revolutionized educational software, she was used to being in control, making decisions that affected thousands of lives. But nothing could have prepared her for the moment when a 5-year-old girl with pigtails and tearful eyes looked up at her across a dinner table and whispered the words that would shatter her carefully constructed world. "You're my real mom, aren't you?" Emma's wine glass slipped from her fingers. Time seemed to stop. Because the truth was, she had given birth to a daughter 5 years ago, a daughter she had to give up for adoption when she was barely surviving herself. If you believe in the transformative power of kindness and the miracles that happen when we open our hearts, please subscribe to Kindness World. Hit that like button, and share your own stories of unexpected connections in the comments below. Your support helps us bring more inspiring stories to people who need hope. Now, let me tell you what happened that night, and how one blind date changed everything. 3 weeks earlier, Emma's assistant had practically forced her to download a dating app. At 32, Emma had sacrificed everything for her career. Relationships felt like luxuries she couldn't afford. But loneliness had been creeping in lately, especially during quiet evenings in her penthouse apartment. So she swiped half-heartedly through profiles until she found Marcus. His profile was refreshingly honest. Single dad, kindergarten teacher, looking for someone who values authenticity over appearances. His smile seemed genuine, and his bio mentioned he was raising his adopted daughter alone after his wife passed away. Something about his openness touched Emma's guarded heart. Their first phone conversation lasted 3 hours. Marcus had a way of making her laugh that she hadn't experienced in years. He didn't seem intimidated by her success. He asked about her dreams, not just her achievements. When he suggested meeting for dinner at a family-friendly Italian restaurant, Emma felt nervous butterflies. She thought she'd forgotten how to feel. He wanted her to meet his daughter, Lily. It was unconventional for a first date, but Marcus explained that Lily was his whole world, and anyone in his life needed to understand that. Emma respected his honesty, even as anxiety twisted in her stomach. The restaurant was warm and bustling when Emma arrived, dressed more casually than her usual power suits. Marcus stood when he saw her, and his smile was even more disarming in person. But it was the little girl holding his hand that made Emma's breath catch. Lily had dark curls and brown eyes that seemed to look right through her. Something flickered in Emma's chest, a recognition she couldn't name. They ordered pasta and talked about everything and nothing. Marcus was patient and kind, and Lily was bright and curious, asking Emma questions about her work in that fearless way children have. Then Lily went quiet. She stared at Emma with an intensity that made the adults uncomfortable. Marcus gently asked if she was okay. That's when Lily said it, her small voice cutting through the noise of the restaurant like a bell. "You're my real mom, aren't you?" The words hung in the air. Emma felt the color drain from her face. Marcus looked confused, then concerned. Emma's hands began to tremble. 5 years ago, when she was 27 and barely making rent, she had gotten pregnant. The father had disappeared the moment she told him. She was working 3 jobs and could barely feed herself. The decision to give her daughter up for adoption had destroyed her, but she believed it was the only way to give her baby a real chance at life. She had held her newborn for exactly 10 minutes before the adoption agency took her away. She had memorized every detail of that tiny face. The small birthmark shaped like a crescent moon behind her left ear. The way her right eye had a small gold fleck in the iris. Emma had spent 5 years trying to forget, throwing herself into work, building her company, proving she could be worth something. And now, sitting across from her in a red checkered dress, was a little girl with those same eyes, that same birthmark she had glimpsed when Lily turned her head. Emma's voice cracked when she finally spoke. "How did you know?" Lily shrugged with the simple wisdom of children. "I just knew. I see you in my dreams sometimes." Marcus was pale now, piecing things together. He pulled out his phone with shaking hands and showed Emma a photo from Lily's adoption file, the one piece of information he had about her birth mother. A first name, Emma. Age, 27. Occupation, student. The coincidence seemed impossible, but here they were, brought together by an algorithm and chance, or maybe something more powerful than either. The restaurant faded away as Emma told them her story through tears. She explained the impossible choice she'd made, the grief she'd carried, the hole in her heart she'd tried to fill with success. Marcus listened without judgment, his own eyes wet. He reached across the table and took her hand. "She's had a beautiful life," he said softly. "My wife and I loved her from the first moment. And when Sarah died 2 years ago, Lily became my reason to keep going. We've been a team, haven't we, sweetheart?" Lily nodded, but she was staring at Emma with wonder and something that looked like recognition. What happened next wasn't a fairy tale reunion where everything instantly became perfect. It was messier and more beautiful than that. Over the following weeks, Emma, Marcus, and Lily began carefully building something new together. Emma learned that Lily loved dinosaurs and hated broccoli and could recite every princess movie from memory. Marcus learned that Emma's tough exterior hid someone who was terrified of being vulnerable but desperate to try. And Lily, wise beyond her years, seemed to understand that families could be complicated and beautiful at the same time. Emma didn't replace the mother Lily had lost. Sarah would always be Lily's mom in the ways that mattered most. But Emma became something equally precious, a birth mother who got a second chance, not to undo her choice, but to be part of the miracle that came from it. Marcus and Emma fell in love slowly, carefully, with Lily's happiness as their North Star. A year later, when Marcus proposed in that same Italian restaurant, Lily was the one who handed Emma the ring. Sometimes kindness looks like an impossible decision made from love. Sometimes it looks like a man raising a daughter alone and opening his heart to trust again. Sometimes it looks like a little girl brave enough to speak an impossible truth. Emma learned that the kindness she'd shown herself 5 years ago by choosing adoption, as painful as it was, had created ripples she couldn't have imagined. And the kindness Marcus showed by including her in their lives had healed wounds she thought were permanent. Today, Emma still runs her company, but she leaves work at 5 to have dinner with her family. She tucks Lily in at night and marvels at the mystery of second chances. The greatest success she's ever achieved isn't measured in profits or innovations. It's measured in bedtime stories, school plays, and the sound of Lily calling her, Mama Emma. Kindness, Emma learned, doesn't erase the past. It transforms it into something beautiful. And sometimes, when we're brave enough to be vulnerable, the universe conspires to bring us exactly where we belong. That's the real miracle. Not that coincidence brought them together, but that kindness, in all its forms, made them into a family.